Hi, welcome back. Here we are, session 4 of our 2018 study, The Gospel Project for Students. Thanks for being with us. And in session 4, so we're still in the first unit of creation and fall. And so this session number 4 is sin and God's grace. So we're going to be looking at the story of Noah for this particular session. So again, this is kind of one of those very familiar characters that we know throughout Scripture. Your students more than likely know the story of Noah. Even if they've been unchurched, more than likely they kind of know the basic storyline, right? Just from modern day films that have kind of been recreated about it. So anyway, so they probably are familiar with it on some level. But make sure that as you go through these lessons and these sessions, that you're really making the connection to Jesus in the Christ connection, because that's one of our values. That's one of the things that we really want our students to be getting. We want people of all age groups who are using the Gospel Project to be getting, is the fact that how does what I am seeing in the Old Testament, how does it point to Jesus? And so we connect those dots in a crystal clear fashion. And so we want that to be done, because otherwise, guys, they will just sort of think of the Bible as a bunch of individual stories sort of stitched together, and they won't get how it's all connected. And so up until this point, I meant to say this in the very first session, but be emphasizing the Christ connection, okay? So please be doing that. And this is certainly one of those sessions that you don't want to miss out on doing that, because there's lots of things here, a lot of great connections here that we're going to be making between Noah and the ark and Jesus, and so we want to tie that together for our students. And so that's where we're going to be. We have a situation in which, obviously, humanity, because of the fall. So this is kind of what I would do, is look at, we kind of skip the narrative of Cain and Abel. So Cain and Abel, but there's some devotions in the Daily Discipleship Guide about that. And so hopefully that you guys or your students are doing that. So if they did read those, they realize, like right after the fall, man, like, okay, we kind of get a sense of the gravity and weight of sin in Genesis 3, but man, you really get it after that, because here you have, one brother murdering another brother. And so, the weight and the consequences of sin begin to just sort of stack and mount up. Man, like, what we did in the garden, when we rebelled against God's authority, this brought things just out of whack. Brothers aren't supposed to be at war and kill one another. Husband and wife aren't supposed to be at odds with one another. I mean, so anyway, so we start to get more of a weighty sense of that. So I wouldn't rush over that. I would want that to just sort of percolate a little bit in the hearts and minds of students. And then especially even here, as we get to Genesis chapter 6, when the Lord sees that human wickedness was just widespread all over the earth, just let that sit, and just kind of sit in the fact of what was, and the fact that God was grieved over this. It's not as if God is just some angry judge in the sky, and at the first instance of evil, He does away with it, or kind of throws you in jail and throws away the key. That's not the way that He acts at all. I mean, He's continually gracious and merciful, and we see this. We see that He's gracious and merciful to Cain and the murdering of his brother Abel, and we see that He continues to have mercy and pity here. God didn't have to spare anyone, but nevertheless He chose to do so, and that's one of the things that we're going to emphasize throughout this particular lesson. So we want to look at the sin aspect, but we also want to look at God's grace. And the fact that, look, God's going to judge sin, but He provides salvation to those who trust Him. And that's what we see in the life of Noah and his family. And so take some time, walk through that, and we'll see you here next time for session 5. Thanks for being with us.